From the southeastern corner of western North Carolina, this is Folklore. I'm your host, James Hernishan. To begin, a short recording of the early moments of the protest held this past Saturday, organized by Polk County Democrats.
Deport us! Deport us! Deport us! Deport us! Deport us! Deport us!
In case you couldn't make out the chant, it was a demand made under the watchful eye of Nina Simone to deport Elon Musk, who is more or less the most powerful unelected human on the planet. He's definitely the richest, and if you think about it, it's kind of a weird thing to be chanting in a country that invented modern democracy. We've always had rich and powerful people exercising a disproportionate share of power, often but not always behind the scenes. But we've never had someone make decisions on the scale and scope of what Elon Musk is doing. And that, among a long list of other things, is what some 250 ordinary, not so rich, and not so powerful members of the Polk County community were angry about as they walked up and down Tryon's Trade Street on a warm and Sunday Saturday in early March of 2025. The march was followed by a short series of speakers, all of whom are artists, which I think is also remarkable. But before I play clips of those speeches, some context from beyond the county. First, about public health, and then economics. Here's former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance speaking on a live Substack podcast earlier this week with host Norm Eisen. They're talking about that outbreak of measles, which at that point had already turned fatal, even though the U.S. had declared measles eliminated in this country 25 years ago. Thanks, of course, to vaccines.
This is a crisis that shouldn't have happened because as soon as these numbers zoomed, the Secretary of Health and Human Services should have been working with state and local partners to conduct mass vaccination clinics. And in essence, the feds have left the state and local folks out to dry. Bobby Kennedy is out advocating for the use of vitamin A treatment instead of vaccinations, which limit the spread. And I think, really sadly, I think we're in for a terrible tragedy. We know how vulnerable people are in our society to misinformation and disinformation on the internet. This is going to be a tragedy that didn't have to happen.
Next, from Fox News the other day, the current U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, talking about what Americans should do in response to what was one of the most critical issues facing Americans today and yesterday. If you believe the conventional wisdom, that issue prompted enough voters to choose to put the 45th president back in office after kicking him out 4 years earlier. The subject, of course, is the price of eggs.
I think the silver lining in all of this is how do we, in our backyards, we've got chickens too in our backyard, how do we solve for something like this? And people are sort of looking around thinking, wow, well, maybe I could get a chicken in my backyard. And it's awesome. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, according to the Trump administration, we should just all be raising our own chickens, which is actually not a bad idea for a fair number of Polk County folks, but makes precisely 0 sense for the vast majority of Americans, most of whom live in urban centers that don't permit the raising of livestock, even if they do have the luxury of a big yard instead of just a small balcony big enough for nothing more than flowers and herbs. The threats posed by the changes being unleashed by the new government in D.C. are coming from all sides. This morning, I woke to news that the government is going to try to throw out the law that lets us control the carbon emissions responsible for climate change. You know, that phenomenon that brought trillions of gallons of water and tropical storm winds to western North Carolina a few months ago. You probably noticed it. But perhaps the most troubling sign I saw at the Tryon demonstration was one carried by a couple from Saluda. It demanded that we have to save our national parks. That's how crazy things are. The government is defunding and destaffing the national parks. It's a bizarre thing to do if you claim to care about efficiency and eliminating government waste, because every tax dollar spent on the parks returns about $30 in economic activity. I'm not a certified fiduciary, but I'd call that a good return on investment. By the way, the park with the biggest bang for the buck, that would be Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which is the main reason that so many of Polk County's tourists come through our little piece of paradise in the first place. Given the level of anxiety and anger rippling across the country, I think it's fair to say we can expect public protests to be frequent, if not entirely regular, events in even small towns like ours for the foreseeable future. Tryon's rally was well organized, peaceful, and respectful, maybe too respectful given the dire circumstances that drew people out. It was also relatively brief. Only 3 speakers asked for the crowd's attention. Here are some excerpts from the speeches by Janet Orselli, David Riddle, and Margaret Curtis.
Hello. Woo! I'm so glad y'all are here. Wow, what a turnout. Woo! Woo! I first got this idea to bring it here when I went to a rally in Columbia, South Carolina, which is notoriously red. And they had a couple thousand people. And it was the most powerful experience I think I've ever had, being part of that. It was a peaceful demonstration just like this is, but people were standing in their space, calling out, saying what they believed in, and so.
A few thoughts. Why are we here today? Why are we here today? Think for a moment about your answer. Now, I've got my hands full, and some of you do too, but put your hand on your heart. What do you feel in there? You might feel fear. Not at this moment, but you felt it. You might feel anger. You might feel love. I'm thinking fear is important and certainly understandable, but fear is not very helpful. Anger also is important and understandable, and anger can be very helpful as long as it doesn't turn into meanness or hatred. We've seen too much of that. Love is most important, and love is always helpful. And if it wasn't for love, you probably wouldn't be here today. Take a moment now and think of all the things we love about this country. Think about the things you love: freedom, democracy, fairness, opportunity, compassion, care, and consideration for all. We love these ideals. We love that we are a nation ruled by a constitution and laws and not by greedy narcissists. Oops, maybe that was a little bit mean. So I'll just have to send more tough love messages to Washington. I encourage you to do the same. My point is, it's love that matters most. Giving in to fear will drag us down. And fear is the true enemy within. So stay strong in your love. Stand together with others in love. Say no to fear and yes to love as many times as it takes. Never give up. And take this love, this energy that we're feeling right now, and spread it around. Transplant it all over so it can take root and grow until we win.
Those who are standing up, willing to speak out and use their voice for the good of all. It means, what does it mean? Everything. It means becoming one of those people. It means becoming one of those people that's willing to stand up and say how you feel, no matter the consequences, being willing to be who you are and stand up for what you care about. When I get off track and start hurting, start hating, when I start thinking it's me versus them, then I know I need to step back and realize I'm fighting against rather than fighting for. There's a big difference. Are you here to do battle with the darkness, or are you here to join the light raising your voice about all you love and hold dear. For me, it's freedom. The freedom to speak, express, do, believe, and be the me I'm meant to be in this world. It's also about cherishing and protecting our natural world. We're in a crisis here. It's past time to wake up, to take action and join with others. Look around you and identify what you love and hold dear. Be willing to stand up, speak out about why you don't want to lose it. Don't sit quietly by and let this happen. Talk about it everywhere you go. Support others in their efforts. Talk with a purpose. Talk from a place of power. The power that lies within you, lies within what you most dearly love and seek to protect. None of us knows the ultimate impact of what we say or do, but we can say and do from the strength of who we are and be that, and that is power. United we will prevail.
Today is International Women's Day, right? Woo! All the ladies, hands up, okay? Because things have only gotten worse for women. And why does this matter? Why does this matter to every single man in this audience? It's because what they do to women, they're going to do to you next. Let me repeat that. What they do to women, women are the bellwether. We're the canary in the coal mine. They came for our bodily autonomy. They're coming for your bodily autonomy next. They're coming for our gay brothers and sisters. They're coming for immigrants. They're coming for our trans kids. They are coming for people of color. And let's take this back a bit, okay? We wouldn't have MAGA. MAGA would not exist if we hadn't elected our first black president. And we elected him twice. MAGA is white supremacy, and we need to be very clear about that. Trump is coming for our disabled people, our most vulnerable people. He is privatizing our tax dollars, our social safety nets, everything that we have built through our tax dollars to aid the people of this country. He is trying to put into private hands. It is a huge theft. He is a thief. You elect a convict, expect crimes. He's coming for our veterans. He has never had anything but contempt for our military. He calls them losers and suckers, and now he's gutting the VA.
Right behind you. Excuse me, please. Thank you.
He's coming for our children. They've never done anything about gun violence in our schools. He's defunding the Department of Education. Think about that. He is vilified.
Right behind you.
Vilified the people.
Please. Thank you.
He has vilified the people who nurture our children, our teachers, our doctors, our healthcare providers. He does nothing but pit people against other people, pitting Americans against other people. This is how fascism starts. But, don't panic. Don't panic, because the reason they are hitting so hard and so chaotically is because they have already lost the cultural battle, right? Think about that. They have lost. The only way they can have any influence is through force, and that is not valid influence, and we are going to push back against that. We have won this battle already. We just need to stand together. We need to resist. We need not to panic, and we need to use our economic power, right? We need to boycott. We need to strike. We need to stop spending. We need to call our representatives. We need to protest. We have won this. We just have to stick together. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you all for coming out.
How's that for optimism? All three speakers have similar takes, not so much on exactly what opponents of the current regime need to be doing, but on the attitudes and psychology of winning hearts and minds, which is, after all, the ultimate goal. In case you were wondering, the interruption toward the end of that last bit was the staff of the Throwbacks restaurant trying to clear a path through the crowd to their front door. It was noon hour, after all. Normally, I like to wrap up each episode on a positive note, but it's also important to be realistic about both the causes of and solutions to the problems we face. So I'll leave you with a short, more sobering clip of Ezra Klein from a recent episode of his podcast, which I strongly recommend you listen to. You can always reach me with feedback and ideas for episodes by emailing jamesH@folklore.com. Thanks for listening.
Right now, the Democratic opposition, elected opposition, doesn't have leverage. And if there's anything that matters in the Trump era, it's leverage. And so, as you say, it's going to be civil society, and it's also going to be the world acting back upon Trump, people feeling effects, people being upset, not just about the price of eggs, but about measles outbreaks, about what's happened to their 401k, about the economy potentially falling into recession, about the sense of cruelty. And at some point, Republicans in Congress are going to start looking forward to an election and begin realizing they're going to get annihilated if they don't begin to create some distance, right? The fact that Republicans in the House are telling each other to stop doing town halls is very telling.
Just amazing.
Just amazing. So I wish I had like a good answer to this. I don't think there's a answer to this right now that is satisfying. I mean, it would be good if more people were out in the streets, I think. But aside from that, there is not a power center in American life that is built around liberal values and that can stop what this is. It is going to be the collision between what this is and reality itself that matters.